Hello everyone! Welcome to one more episode of Talking Times. I guess it's the 101st today, something like that. And today was not me, amazing. Do you know what a fanfic is? I'm here with Alanis. We're gonna have an amazing chat about that. And if there are any Potterheads watching us now, you're gonna have a nice ride with us today after our intro. Hello, Alanis. Welcome.
Hello, Mike. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for being here. I don't think we're gonna have a lot of time for me to wear this today, but okay, it's here just in case. Before we start, please introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Alanis. I'm 25 years old. I've recently moved to Campinas, where we are right now. I'm from Foz do Iguaçu, Paraná. And I am a historian. I like stuff like Harry Potter, of course, and other fantasy books, YA, gaming, and stuff like that. And of course, fan fiction.
And what led you to this path to study history? Because I noticed something like this. People that they really, really like it. It's like a passion. What's your story about that?
Yeah, I kind of always had this draw to history. As a child, I loved it. And I read Percy Jackson as a kid. And I was really big into Greek mythology. And as I grew up, I've realized it's not about history itself, although I love it. Mm-hmm. It was more about, I like helping my peers. I like helping my friends, just study for tests and stuff like that. And I realized that I was good at it. They had good results. And at that time, I was 15, 16. I was hopping into, what am I going to do when I finish school and stuff like that. And I really, insane, absolutely crazy. I cannot do math. And I was maybe I'll do engineering.
Really?
And then, yeah, I was 15, maybe I'll do engineering. And I was no, I'm not doing engineering. Then I was maybe I'll be a doctor. And I was what kind of doctor? Maybe a pediatrician, neurologist. And then, end of the year was coming. It was all lined up for me to do, the test and everything. And I was nah, I don't want this for me. And then I told my mom, I was 16, last year of high school. And I was Mom, I wanna study history. And then she was history? You wanna be a teacher? You could be a doctor. And I was yeah, but I wanna be a teacher.
Parents being parents.
And she was really supportive after that. And then she was I'm not paying for you to study out of town. I was okay, fine. And then I did my tests. I did well, and I started college in 2017 at itty bitty 17 years old. Damn. I was a minor, yeah. So I went straight out of high school into college. No, I was living in Foz do Iguaçu, next to it. But I'm from Paraná, like I said, and so I studied there my whole life. I graduated there, everything. I studied at UNILA. It's Federal University for Latin American Integration, and it focuses a lot on Latin America, so my curriculum is all over the place, very different.
Nice.
But yeah, that's where I came from.
But that's something very interesting because it doesn't have to be one or the other. Some people that prefer facts or fiction, you kind of are into both of them.
Yeah, I've always loved writing and reading. I think that's my real passion. But I've also always liked history. Like I said, I really like teaching. And I think when you teach, there is something really important about how you deliver what you are talking about. And I think that ties very well into writing and fiction. Because even though you're telling facts, you're also telling a story. And you're building a story with your students. And I think that's what really gets them, So I think that's how and that's why I brought everything together.
That's nice. I never understood why I have this passion for fantasy, fantasy story, dragons, since I was a kid. And then after I started to get into psychology, I understand, it's because all the symbols, the archetypes that we find in those stories that are so fascinating, it's kind of something like this. I know I will never be this person or be at this place, but it's where we aim, you know. And it's amazing because it doesn't have to be one or another, you know. It's beautiful. Have you ever had any, or did you have actually any teacher when you were at school that really inspired you to follow this path as well? Like, oh my God, this class is amazing. I would like to do this as well.
Specifically, like, I want to be like that teacher. I had two really, really amazing teachers. It was like writing and literature when I was my last 2 years of high school. But it wasn't like, they weren't big into like influencing me to write, because I didn't share with them also. But it was more like, I loved them as people and as teachers, and I thought like they inspired me as like human beings.
Nice.
And maybe that was one of the reasons why I decided to kind of follow this path, because I was like, if they can inspire me, maybe I can help other people like understand the world better and like be critical and try and change what we think is wrong, you know, and be like kind of revolutionary. And so I think that's kind of why. But I don't think there was like a specific teacher that was like, I love my history teachers, it's not even about that, but I don't think they made such an impact on my career as to like, I want to be like them. It was more like, oh, I really, really like this, and maybe this is a path for me. So there's two sides of the story.
That's nice. I remember. You're not watching this, but if ever gets to you, Dona Terezinha, she helped me a lot to enjoy reading, because when I was at the school, I didn't like the classics that we were kind of forced to read because of the tests, you know, that we have to do. And there was this teacher, I guess, 4th, 5th grade, I guess, we were like 11 or 12 years old. And she said, guys, I started our own library here at the school, and at the back of the class there were these bookshelves with a lot of fantasy books and some classics from like investigation books and mystery. And she just said, oh, choose one to read, and you have like 1 or 2 weeks, you know, you write something about it, you can do a presentation, whatever you want. And because we had so many options, I said, oh my God, I'm gonna have a nice grade. And I'll be reading about pirates, dragons, and the stories that I like. And after that, she kind of broke this kind of this feeling that reading is boring, it's difficult. You have to be like really intelligent. So thank you. Yeah, and I'm asking this too, Alanis, because I had some hard times when I was at school, you know, and what can be done today to get teenagers and kids at the school? And you are also a teacher, right?
Yeah.
So what can we do today to kind of make it easier for people to acquire education and to enjoy these classes and maybe to have the same passion? Because I don't know, sometimes I have the impression that a lot of schools, they kind of cut the students' wings, you know, before they even start flying.
Yeah, I think it's really hard, and it's more a systemic problem rather than a school-based problem or a teacher-based problem. Because what you have to understand is that we don't have the time. Okay? So we have too many subjects to work with, and too little time. So imagine you have to teach like 19, 20 slides or more, usually more, in 30 minutes. Like we cannot do it here at times.
No, impossible.
So, and it's like, here we have small classes, right? So we have like max 15 students.
My time was 40 in each.
Yeah.
40 kids.
It's still like that. So imagine you are trying to like handle everyone and you're trying to explain everything. So I think acquiring learning is really hard when you're in this environment. And it's not, like I said, it's not a school-based problem or a teacher-based problem. Of course, there are bad teachers. But usually the problem is not the teacher. And I feel like the way mainly high school is structured today, it is supposed to give you some freedom, but it doesn't. So it's like an idea that was there, but in real life, we cannot execute it because it's not feasible. And it's not even like we don't try it, we don't want it. It's impossible.
The limitations that are already built there.
So it's really hard in that sense. But I think what I like doing and what I feel like brings real results, and I've seen from my students, like how they change. We listen to them. I understand not every teacher is able to listen to their students, and not every student will open up to the teachers. And like humanities teachers, they have more like space for this. I teach sociology these days. So my classes are basically only debates. So we work with like a real life problem. We take like racism or ableism and we discuss, and then we try and like demystify what we know about it. And we try to reach new conclusions based on what we've discussed. And I feel like the process of doing this gives the student the autonomy they need to start thinking critically and creatively. But if you are just like slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, they'll never have the space to think about whatever it is that they want to think. So I think that's one of the key strategies.
It makes a lot of sense. Something that was very demotivating was exactly like you described. Oh, go to page whatever, read this, and then answer the questions. And then we were like, eh. And when we had, sometimes it was funny that was like a different class or maybe different semester, different teacher. Something was different there that we had this kind of more practical approach, and we could see the importance of it. It was completely different because teenagers, so everything could be a distraction. But we were like here, oh my god, this guy's cool, I'm listening. Oh my god, it's amazing. I remember I gave this example already here, that I had this physics teacher, and for the first time in my life that I could do the formula and the exercise and I understood, I said, oh my god, so it's not that I'm dumb or the topic is boring, it's just that I didn't understand, and now I do a little. I forgot in 2 weeks, but the same that I felt really smart in that moment. It was really cool, very cool. Have you ever had a day that, I don't know, that something happened in your class and you had this feeling because you said something like this, that the importance of history today is that you can change something, you know, and it's something as a teacher is like a fuel for us when you are in a class and you see that you inspired someone or the class flowed in a way that you say, oh my god, what I'm doing matters, you know. And
I feel like I went to the school this morning and I only teach at night.
Okay.
So I went to the school this morning to do something else, and all of my students from last year, they came like running down the hall.
Oh, really?
And like I received like 10 hugs from my students.
Nice energy.
And they were really like, oh my god, we miss you so much. We miss you so much. Are you teaching us today? Or like, are you going to be your teacher again? Like, I feel like this, it's not about the classroom. It's about the connections you make outside of the classroom, you know? And of course, they're teenagers. They're fickle. And some days they love you, some days they hate you. And that's fine. But like, I think it's the being liked and being like looked up to. Like my students last year, they were like, teacher, you're like Barbie Professions. You know, like you do a little bit of everything. I feel like that's the thing. Like one of my students, they were like, teacher, I want to be you when I grow up.
Oh my god.
And I don't think I'll ever forget that.
Damn.
One of my students, they sent me an email, like it was end of the year, it was over already. He sent me an email through his like official email account, and he was like, teacher, you've changed my perspective on everything. I have this mail stored. I don't think I'll ever like erase it. He was like,
don't.
And it was like, you changed my perspective on like everything I believe because you listened to us and you gave us space to think. Like you were the best history teacher I've ever had.
Nice.
And like I don't know if he will change his mind like this year or next year. But for that single moment, like for that year, I've won everything. Like the fact that I can make a positive impact And I don't even mean like learning. I mean like just
character building,
making
itself,
them feel welcome and making them feel like they matter. I think sometimes that's all they need. So I feel like that's my accomplishment as a teacher, not making them have the highest grades or being the most eloquent. I think them understanding that they matter and that they can make a difference, that's what maybe makes me a good teacher.
That's beautiful, and especially because one thing is when you are like task oriented to just make your students pass in one exam. The other is like I want a little piece here that is gonna build you up in life in a way that makes a difference. So I imagine this student will never forget you because it's not something that he will have to learn just to go to a test and that's it.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's amazing. I guess we could say something like this would be one of the key to be a good professional, good teacher, and make a difference.
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, as years go by, you forget your students. I've been a teacher, like this is my 4th year teaching. I remember all my students, all of them. So I think it's about how much you care about them, how much you're invested in them. And then it's not like you remember every single detail, but you remember them as people. So I haven't been teaching these kids for like 6 months, but I know them. I know their names, I know who they are, and I remember them, and I make them matter. So I think that's one of the most important things.
It's amazing when you meet a student in a random place. I suck with names, I really do, But I remember, this is the guy who has the dog called na.
Yeah, my husband is like, how do you remember all their names? I'm like, I don't know, I just do.
No, I'm terrible with names, but this characteristic is funny, and you meet like I was in one of these department stores. We were buying something for the house, me and my wife, and I saw this guy in front of the store. Said, Adele said, "Oh, teacher, hello, how are you?" He answered in English, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you, man." And, well, he's an older student. It's beautiful. It's very nice. And she was like, "Who is this guy?" He was a student at times when I was there in Guanabara. Shout out to you, Adele. So you are amazing. Okay, before I forget, Alanis, let me take a look at the chat.
Okay.
Hello, Cave. Hello, Francisco. Mateus said, great episode, very good times. Thank you, guys. If you're watching this from a class, grab your phone and enter there because it helps the channel to grow. Leave a comment, you know the drill, right? Okay, I have a very serious question for you now. Okay, can you tell us a brief version of Harry Potter, because the other questions would be related to that as well.
Okay, I could go with the song, like there once was a boy named Harry who was destined to... No, but like seriously, Harry Potter is an orphan.
Okay.
And he was left at his uncle and aunt's step when he was like a year and a half year old. And he was left there by a guy named Dumbledore, who was the headmaster of a magical school called Hogwarts.
Okay.
And Harry grew up being badly mistreated. His family hated him because they had magic, and they never told him he had magic. So he would make all the like strangest things happen, and he would never understand, and he would be punished for it. So he was like super skinny. He didn't have friends. He couldn't do well at school because his cousin would like beat him up and things like that. So one day he received a letter from this like magical school, and he could not read a letter because his family took it away. And then he started receiving like a bunch of letters, like too many, and they ran away. And then like Harry found out that he was in fact a wizard, and this guy called Hagrid, he went, picked him up, took him to buy his cool stuff, and Harry had to be dropped off at home. And then he had to go to King's Cross Station in London to get the train.
Okay.
So then, like, his relatives could not do anything about it, and Harry started his adventures. He had 2 friends called Ron and Hermione, and they could not, for the life of them, stay out of trouble.
Okay, this was better than the trailer. I put some nice song in the background, and then we have a better trailer.
I've been a Potterhead for almost 20 years.
Okay.
Okay, so that is not much. If there's one thing that I can talk about, is Harry Potter.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so and then right there, you have something that resembles the classic hero's journey, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What was the thing that made you love this story, like, quickly? The first time you read, or you watched? I think you read the books before the movies.
Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Because I was 6 years old.
Oh my god.
My mom read Harry Potter to me when I was 6 years old. And then, like, all I remember is that I loved the story. And then when I was, like, it took years. Because she would read out loud for me during weekends and things like that. So when we were on book 7, like halfway through, we just didn't have the time anymore, and I decided to pick it up and read it by myself. And I was 8. So I finished reading alone, and then I started again. And then I finished again, and then I started again. So I kept that loop for like 2 years.
Okay.
Then when I was 10, she gave me like Percy Jackson, and I didn't want to read Percy Jackson because it was not Harry Potter.
Okay. Yeah, I know the feeling.
And then my mom tricked me because she was like, "Oh, you don't want to read it? That's fine. I will read it."
It's a spin-off.
No, she was like, "I will read it," and I was like, "What do you mean you read it? What do you mean?" And then she like read 2 chapters, and I stole the book from her. We had the first 3, and I read them in a week.
In a week? Okay, so
all 3 of them. And like when I finished book 1, she was like, "You have to read slower." I was like, all right, fine. And then instead of reading in 2 days, I read in 3.
Okay, it's 50%.
I slowed down.
Yeah.
I slowed down. But anyways, and then I started the loop all over again with Percy Jackson.
I used to do this. I do this with movies, some books too. But with books, it takes more time. There are this kind of saga. It's called the Saxon Chronicles, Saxon Stories from Bernard Cornwell.
Yeah, I've read one book, I think.
Yeah, I love. I have some of the books. The others I have in PDF. But anyways, and eventually, after some years, I have no fantasy books to read. Now I'm gonna read Ultra's Journey again. But it's interesting. You mentioned Percy Jackson, and you told me that you like Greek mythology, and there is some connection there, right? But are the movies a fair representation of the story? You see her expression.
We don't
right
talk
there?
about the movies. They don't exist.
My bad. Okay, I do the same thing with the things that I don't like. I watch it because just to avoid being a hater.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, in my head it's like a fanfic. You do the same thing with Star Wars. Don't judge us.
Yeah. Okay. No, but like even Rick Riordan, he pretends the movies don't exist.
Really? So it's just like
he hates it so much because he saw the screenwriting, and then he corrected the screenwriting, and he sent Fox all the problems that he had, like emails. You can find the emails online, and he was like, "This is gonna bomb. This is gonna be so bad because you are rewriting my story, and it's horrible."
Such an arrogance, right?
Yeah.
Like the thing, the raw material is already there.
And he was absolutely correct. He was absolutely correct because it's trash. It's horrible.
I couldn't watch. I watched part of because it was on TV.
Don't.
And I saw I guess it was a part that there was a Minotaur. I remember a Minotaur. Yeah. There was something that happens like a battle camp. But I don't know, it was cringe that I said, okay.
Yeah. No, but like book 1, Percy's supposed to be 12, and then in the movie he's 16, and he's in the books the journey is like from 12 to 16, because 16 there's like a big thing, and then the books is already 16, so that doesn't make any sense. We start with that, and then nothing at all is like the books.
They don't even follow the main events.
No. Like they have the general, like, Percy, son of XYZ, and he goes to XYZ place. But like most of the events, like the important events, don't happen.
So
there's a TV show. The TV show is
okay?
good. The TV show is good because Rick helped writing it.
Would you say it would be fair to consider the movies a bad fanfic?
Really bad one, yes.
Okay.
A really, really
and
bad
then
one.
we can link to the topic of these episodes because I had the same feeling with Lord of the Rings. I became a subscriber of Amazon at the time. Pay us, because they're gonna make something with Lord of the Rings. I imagine Silmarillion would not be possible because they don't have the rights. Interesting enough, the Tolkien family, the Tolkien sons, Christopher, he hated the movies because it was something more like his father used to tell these stories to him, and he said, they transform into a Hollywood action movie, and that's the rumor, So he was really conservative in giving the rights to the other things. But then they kind of did something tricky. There is some kind of parts of the main story in the trilogy. So they got like a few pages and decided to create a lot of seasons out of it. So they had, because they are geniuses, those writers, they said, we just have to fill in the gaps there. Yeah. And then it is what it is. But I still watch it, I just say, and it's like watching a spin-off of something that doesn't exist,
Yeah, I haven't finished it. I started it, I didn't finish it.
Like in the series?
Yeah.
You're not missing anything. There's some beautiful...
the scenery is beautiful. The photography is good.
Yeah, exactly. I was... Okay, say something nice about it. It's like talking about a person that you don't like. This person has...
This person is a person,
Nice sense of direction, maybe. Because the person was...
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but the movies is a Hollywood adaptation, of course, a blockbuster, but I absolutely love it. It's my favorite movie,
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, so it's okay. No, we can't. You cannot tell me that. We cannot talk about Lord of the Rings. We can't. Or we can, because we can do it.
I have a tattoo, bro.
Okay, so we will talk about Lord of the Rings. Let's go back to Harry Potter and Percy Jackson and the fanfic thing. In contrast of the Percy Jackson movies, what's your take on Harry Potter movies? Was it faithful to the original material?
I like them, mostly. Recently, I've watched the extended version of The Chamber of Secrets, which I found was very good. Like, very good. It brings so much of the humor of the book to life. And like the cut version doesn't do it justice.
Okay.
But I like the movies. Like the fourth movie is my least favorite book, so it's my least favorite movie.
The fourth is the Prince.
No, that's the sixth one. The fourth one is the Triwizard Torment. The dragons and the lake.
The one there is Edward's actor in there.
Yes, yes. And so that's like the story I like the least. Like in the books. And it's the longest book, if I'm not mistaken, or second longest. The movie is not bad itself, but there's so much in the book, But like I kind of like movie 5, Order of the Phoenix, but it's very angsty. It's very sad. It's kind of depressing type movie. Sirius dies. Spoiler alert, guys. It's been like 20 years.
I still cry when Gandalf falls from Khazad-dûm Bridge. Every time.
But like, I've seen recently a lot of people like the Half-Blood Prince. I hate the movie.
Okay,
like,
why?
Honestly, I think it sucks. I just think it sucks. Harry. Okay, they cut the best line from the book. Okay, you have to understand. So Snape is the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor during that year. It's Snape's dream. He's always wanted it. And Harry, it's his favorite subject and his least favorite teacher. He hates Snape. And then they're like practicing non-verbal spells, so they shouldn't talk. And Harry, of course, is like mumbling,
I know.
And then Snape's like, Potter, didn't you hear that I told you shouldn't speak? And then Harry goes, yes. And then Snape goes, yes, sir. And then Harry goes, there's no need to call me sir, professor.
You know where I saw this?
It's like 10 seconds that would make my life infinitely better. And it doesn't exist in the movies.
I saw this in one of our books from Times.
Yeah, I adore this scene. I think it's perfect. I think it's one of it's peak comedy. Just like book 5, Harry has a meeting with McGonagall and Umbridge is there because of course she is. And then she keeps and it's very annoying And McGonagall turns to her and she goes, "Do you need a coffee drop, Dolores?" Which is like so good. And then after that, Dolores is like, "Oh, Potter will never like get into the Ministry. He's never be an Auror." And then McGonagall low-keys look at her and says, "He will be an Auror if it's the last thing I do in my life."
Damn.
She's amazing.
So, I guess we can draw a line here. So, what's the difference of maybe the original story versus a fanfic, and maybe just some bad spin-off or something like this? Okay, first fanfic. Can you explain to us what is a fanfic?
A fanfiction is essentially just a story written by a fan of whatever. So, like, you can do anime, you can do real people, like artists, singers, actors. You can do TV shows, movies, literally whatever you want, you can write fan fiction of. If you're a fan, if you like it, if you know the story, and you have different ideas of how things should progress, you can just sit down and write a story.
You know, now that you explain it, I had my first contact with fanfics with theories of the fans when we were in this Game of Thrones and other shows, and I said, oh my god, I hope the authors, they read this and they do this because it would be amazing. One Piece as well, there are a lot of fanfics there. Boku no Hero is one of the most popular anime that has don't
fan
depress
fictions.
me. You know the ending?
No, I've never watched.
Okay, I'll not say anything. Okay, so it's because the story is very cool. I mean, it's classic shonen. But
that's literally what my husband tells every time.
So I don't know him, but I like him already. Ask him about the ending. You're gonna see
I don't think he watched it, but he's like, every time I say, "Oh, Boku no Hero," and then he goes, "Classic shonen."
It's like that, orphan boy gets some powers, blah blah blah, mentor.
It's always the same storyline. It's the hero's plotline.
But it has a bittersweet end, and that's the thing that classic shonen sometimes they don't go that. It's normally a happy end, save everything.
Yeah, I've heard Kimetsu no Yaiba is like that. It also has like a kind of weird.
Kimetsu no Yaiba is the
one from the demon girl Nezuko.
Oh, this is the Demon Slayer, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost cried reading the manga. But this one's like is a little bittersweet, but it's like, okay, spoiler alert, if you really care about Demon Slayer, do this, la 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 la. It's like this, you see what happens to the future generation of them. So a lot of them dies during the events, but oh my god, it's badass. When they do the animation, it's gonna be amazing. So okay, let's focus here. I guess I tracked easily, as you can see, especially talking about that. But alright, so anyone can write a fanfic, right? Are there some fanfics that you would like to transform in canon? Something that you occasionally found online and say, oh my god, this has to be...
Okay, so there is this one series of fanfiction. If Marauders Lover 7 is listening to me, shout out to you, you're amazing. They are not, but anyways.
Okay.
So they started rewriting Harry Potter, from before Harry went to Hogwarts. So
What's the name of... Say that again, please.
The name of the author is Marauders Lover 7.
Marauders Lover 7.
Yes.
Shout out to you.
And it's in a website called Archive of Our Own. And it's one of the most famous fanfiction websites today. And essentially she writes Sirius Black. He's Harry's godfather, for anyone who doesn't know. He escapes prison. He's innocent. And the name of the series is Innocent. So he escapes prison and then he goes to visit Harry. And Harry, like I said, is badly mistreated. And he just decides, he's like 8. And this guy's like, I could give you something different, I don't have anything, but I can give you something different. And he proves Harry that he's like an actual wizard. He can do magic.
That would be badass to have a werewolf grandfather.
And he's not a werewolf. He's an animagus.
Okay.
The other guy is a werewolf. That's Remus.
Okay.
And so he picks Harry up and he raises Harry, essentially. So the way, so Harry's character doesn't change from canon in a way.
Okay.
But it also changes because Harry is not this insecure little boy who's never had friends. No, he has been to a loving home. He has a safe place. He knows people that love him, that tells him about his story, that teaches him. So
Does he learn magic with him?
Yeah. So he's like more advanced than his peers, but not too much.
Okay.
But like it's very different, and it gives you hope in a way, you know, that because if you read Harry Potter, you know stuff, and you know how things have to go. So it gives you hope that maybe they will find an alternative, you know, and maybe things don't have to be as bad as they are or as they were in canon.
I hate that part in Azkaban, you know, it's like, oh my god, no!
And like, until she's writing the 6th installment, which is book 5. In this one, in canon, Sirius dies. So she's not there yet. I really hope she doesn't kill him. Because I don't think I would be able to deal with it. I don't think Harry would be able to deal with it, you know? Because he's been through, in a way, worse things than he did in canon. So his life is better, but he suffered more.
And it's like one emotional anchor in this case is the...
Yeah, like he has his family, he has friends, he's a very open person. He's closer to lots more people. And he has a lot more support from everyone. Okay. But it's like, Sirius is his father, you know, and he's like the closest thing to a father that he's ever known. And then to lose him, I think he would, like, character Harry would break. I don't think he would be, because he was on the brink of breaking before because of stuff. I don't think he would stand by it, you know. But like the writing is so good and the story is so much more complex and rich. And of course, I know it's based on Harry Potter. I know the universe was already there. But I think the beauty of fanfiction is that you have this space to fill in the gaps and to make everything more complex, more like deeper in a way. You know, you can work things that the author didn't work before. So I think it gives you so much more space. Like Harry never really dealt with grief, for example. Like Rowling didn't write him dealing with grief. Like he was angry when Sirius died, and he had like severe trauma from Cedric's death. But it's like he doesn't really work through it. He just time just passes, and then he deals with it, but he doesn't, you know.
And with Dumbledore, it was more like a mentor than like a father figure, like family. Yeah, it was important, but not like, oh my god, what do I do now with my life?
Yeah, he was in despair, but it was a different kind of despair, because like not only was Dumbledore his mentor, but Dumbledore was the one thing that was stopping Voldemort, and then we see everything go down from there, from his death. So I think Harry's sadness is less sadness and more worry about what's going to happen after that.
Understand. And this is something beautiful about, again, it doesn't have to be one or the other. One thing that changes our perspective when we write the books, when we read the books actually, because it's like you see this inner dialogue in the characters' minds that you don't see, as good as the actors may be, is not the same, because you're kind of reading the thoughts, you know? Yeah.
And I think like this fanfiction is written in third person, so you don't get to see Harry's thought process necessarily, but you get their perspective. You get his perspective, you get Hermione's, you get Ron, so you can understand how these characters function, how they work, what's their motivation, why they do the stuff they do. And to me, it adds so much more to the story when we can see, like, why does Hermione act the way she does?
Like the perfectionist and everything.
Yeah, why does she feel like that? What brings her to the actions that she does, or any other character? And I think overall, like I said, I love Harry Potter, and this is like this is a controversy, okay? Okay. Harry Potter is mid. Harry Potter is not like a masterpiece. The world is undeveloped, the magic system is confusing, things don't really add up, the author doesn't really know where she's going with some characters.
It's like George R. Martin, same thing.
Yeah, but Martin, he created a more complex world. Rowling, she there is a political system, I'll not tell you how it works.
Okay, yeah, it's a bit messy. Yeah.
I'll create a rule And then 5 books later, this rule doesn't apply anymore.
Oh, okay.
Like, these kind of things really bother us as fans. And I think that's why fanfiction started growing. So when book 3 was released, people instantly started shipping Remus and Sirius. So Wolfstar, which is the ship name, is really famous for like over 20 years now. She hated it. She despised it. And she even went to court to try and bring them down. But because they weren't making any money, and that's like the difference between fanfiction and a literary work itself. Fanfiction, you cannot get money from it because it's copyright infringement and it's a literal crime. So you write it for free because you want to. And you have to like, no, disclaimer, this work's not mine, things like that.
Okay.
And the authors that wrote the first fanfiction, they did that, so she didn't get anything from it in the end, and it just grew. It's one of the most popular ships that exist in the Harry Potter fandom. But like, it all started because people saw things that she didn't see herself.
Oh, because she maybe got a little, oh my god, how haven't I thought about it?
No, because she was like, no, that's not true.
Oh.
That's just not true.
No, it is. It's on the internet.
But like, the thing is, when you write something, it's up for the interpretation of the one who reads it.
Yeah.
So you have your intent when you write, but how people understand your work is up to them.
That makes sense. Makes sense. You talking about writing? You will write a few on your own, right?
Yes. I don't have them published because, I mean, work and life in general, and I've posted before, and it was never really consistent as I was younger, and I've never been able to finish a work.
Okay.
So I'm writing one right now, but I really want to try and like flesh it out before I post it. And I'm like, so you know how you have like some categories like short story and things like that. I'm at the novella point, so over 20,000 words in, and I like, things didn't even start happening properly.
Oh, you told me that you like this slow pacing.
Yeah.
All right.
So like, I'm very slowly building my characters and building like what's going to happen and things like that. And the other issue is, the more you read what you already wrote, the more you want to rewrite it.
Okay.
So
okay.
I was like at 15,000 words, and then I started like taking a look at everything, and then I ended at 20,000.
Okay.
And then I started...
More than half of it was gone.
No, like I used what was there, but I was like tweaking it here and there.
Okay.
Changing some things here, some things there. And in the end, like it grew like 5,000 words, and I didn't even write like a new page. You know,
Okay.
It was all like previous work that I was modifying.
The way you are describing, I imagine the writer of One Piece, Oda, does the same thing. You know, because
Probably.
yeah, you know One Piece.
Yeah.
Because it's because it's like this. I'm gonna tell a story about this classic shonen, you know, true, and then I'm gonna add these characters here. Oh, I decided I would develop these characters here. Oh my god, 10 years have passed. And and then it builds up something that is, I don't know, it's like every 5 years he says that there are more 5 years to finish this story. This has been going for 25 years.
I mean, how old is Oda at this point?
I don't know. Maybe he's on his 50s, I guess.
Oh, okay, so that's not worrying.
No,
I mean, imagine he was old like Mark.
Man, I gave up. I am expecting a nice fanfic to finish.
Yeah, you better, because I don't think he's gonna finish.
No, he gave up. He's doing other things with his life now. I get a bit angry and bitter because I like this story, but I hate his writing process. I don't know if he's too much of a perfectionist or he's just gave up. Like, I don't know what to do right now, or it's not good enough.
As a writer myself, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And like, I'm writing a silly little like romance comedy type of thing, and it's really hard to build the world where you are inserting your characters. You know, because even if my story is hinged on real life and not like some fantastical world, imagine. So he has like all these families, all these regions, all these characters. He has hundreds of characters. I have like 9 maybe, and it's hard enough
No.
So I think it's not just like he gave up. I think it's just like there is so much that he has to like problem solve that he's not able to problem solve.
Yeah, too many loose ends as well. And the show, the TV show already have cut some of the characters that are very interesting in the book. There is this kind of gesture that he has some tattoos on his face, and he says something that it sounds like he's telling a prophecy about the future.
Oh.
He's kind of a survival of a shipwreck, and it's really interesting. But it's like a Tom Bombadil from Game of Thrones. If they put in the story, that would be too much.
Yeah, I refuse to read Game of Thrones.
No,
because it won't end, so I refuse to read it.
You can probably find like a 1 hour summary that was well worth it, because the thing with Martin, and interesting that you are also a writer, because I tried to write a fantasy book once. I gave up in the first page. It sucked. It was really bad. I said, oh my God, I read it and said, this is garbage. What was I thinking? And then I had more luck writing about philosophy, because it was free. I could say, I'm going to write about this topic. And then, if flow. But with fantasy, it's tricky because, like you said, you need to know the thing is going to happen from point A to point B, but it has to be interesting enough, but you cannot give everything. And then you have the pacing, the stories, and...
I think not even about fantasy, right? But I think it's really hard to balance the show and tell. Because there are some things that you cannot just show the writer. You have to actively, the reader, you have to actively like tell them what's going on. Like, for example, the story, like a little bit of the story of how the place where they live came to be. You have to tell. But then the relationship that this character has with this place, you have to tell a little bit and then show the rest. And then you'll be like, how much do I show and how much do I tell? I think that's the hardest part. And then for fantasy, it's like, are you having a hard magic or a soft magic kind of world? Are you having magical creatures? Are you having like different realms? What are you having? And then you have to like build the magic system, build the politics, build like everything. It's not just about the characters and the plot itself. I think the hardest part is the universe, because if you don't know how to structure the world where your characters are living, it doesn't matter if you have the most interesting plot points, they will not work.
Yeah, and especially because there are so many references. Like, is this like a magical world like the books of The Witcher, like Harry Potter, like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, or the reader would be comparing. Yeah. And like, I need a north here, somewhere to go. The thing with Martin, that's why you will not be losing a lot if you decide not to read, ever. He can write very, very boring, annoying chapters. Like, you spend hours reading about Sansa telling how much she loves lemon cakes. Or Brain says how it's amazing to walk over the walls of, the place they live. And then in the last paragraph, something really impressive happens, like an important character dies, or something happens, like so it's like this. He I don't know if he's like intentionally to stall to give you that sense of boredom. So at the end, the reward that is bigger. I don't know if it's he really does it consciously. I think he does, that old bastard. Does. But okay, but it's something like this. You say, well, what? So there's also that. How much do you want to entertain into? Yeah,
it's like, what is your intent with the book you're writing? Do you want like 1,000-page book? Or do you want a 500-page book that will engage and make like you unforgettable? Because that's the thing. Oh, I love Game of Thrones, but it's so boring. Like, do you really want that to be what your reader takes from your story? Like, I think that's hard,
Okay. Now, before I check here, okay. You mentioned that you also like Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
right? Okay, show me the tattoo.
It's Bilbo from The Hobbit, and then it's like in English but in Elvish letters.
Nice.
I'm going on an adventure.
Oh, nice, cool. Okay, did you read the books as well?
I haven't. I have the books.
Okay.
I have tried once like 10 years ago, and I tried in English. Biggest mistake of my life.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get past Tom Bombadil. I tried. I couldn't.
I am reading again. I am in the Two Towers, but I am in a part that is again very slow. It's there with Gollum walking around the places and talking very descriptive.
Yes, like
everything.
Pages and pages and pages and pages
he
of
wants you to
him
be able
talking about the ants.
to smell exactly like the marshes. They were like this, and they smell in the light and the flickering light over the whatever. But for you, who is Tom Bombadil? What's your take on that? Because that's there. We don't have an answer.
He's something.
Okay.
Sometimes I think he's a Meyer as well.
Okay.
Because like he's just way too powerful to be an elf, or so. Sometimes I think he's kind of a Meyer as well. I couldn't tell you, but I've read stuff like, oh, he could have defeated Sauron. So if he could have defeated Sauron, he has to be at least a Meyer, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know.
The Tolkien fans, they will hate me now, but the first impression that I had when I read it was, he's a manifestation of Eru itself, like he's just here having fun, and it's like God just there, like it will happen in Supernatural without God being that asshole.
Yeah.
That
Chuck sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we have a lot of references in common here. Good. But I imagine he was like a nicer version of Chuck in Lord of the Rings. I'm here, and then imagine...
I'm here and I'm useless.
Exactly.
That's what I think.
And imagine the hobbits asking him, if you can end this, why are you putting all this burden on us? Because you are my guys.
Poor Frodo.
Exactly.
Honestly, yeah.
But then one thing that may be the case, I guess, Tolkien, very smart. He never said no. He wanted this discussion to happen, but apparently he would be like a manifestation of nature itself. So he's not like one exactly.
Yeah,
person.
If it's like nature, I dig why he never did anything. But like if he was something else, honestly, like. What the fuck?
Exactly.
Like, why?
Why? Help a bro here, man,
Yeah, like, if you're God and you created Sauron, that's kind of your fault. So you should deal with that.
Yeah. So I guess that would be my interpretation now, because maybe I thought, okay, it makes sense in a way that very powerful stuff. And I guess it's Gandalf that says like, he's older than the older things that we have here, something like that. So if you are Lord of the Rings fans, you can share with us, who do you think Tom Bombadil is, okay? All right, now, would you like one of your fanfics to become a movie?
A movie? No, but a book, yes.
Okay.
Like if I were to write something good enough, I would... My dream is to become a writer, like a fully fledged author. So I think because movies rarely ever work the way they should. So the book, I'm in control of it. Sure, editors and things like that, but like I'm writing the story. So I don't think I would even want to have a movie. If it's an animation, I think fine. But like I wouldn't think I would like to have a movie of a book of mine. It's not my drill. But we do have examples of fan fiction that became books and movies.
Like
50 Shades of Grey.
Okay, good. Okay, tell us the story about this one. It has a relation with Twilight, right?
Guys, yeah. So 50 Shades of Grey is a Twilight fan fiction, and Anastasia is Bella and Christian is Edward. And so E.L. James, she wrote everything that she wrote, because like this type of stories, they're really easy, because you don't have a magical system, you don't have anything. So she just wrote an alternative universe and used their names and everything. So it was just like, create new names and everything. So she basically didn't change nothing of her story.
So the original is not Anastasia, it's Bella?
It's Bella, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She basically just changed the names. But we have like Mortal Instruments, which was a Harry Potter fanfiction with Draco and Ginny. So if you see Jace is very pale with like white blonde hair and blue eyes, which is literally Draco's description. And Clary is like brown eyes, freckles, redhead. So she's Ginny. And so it was set like in an alternative universe and everything. And so like Cassandra Clare, she wrote this Harry Potter fanfiction and then she changed everything and created a whole other universe, which is like a good story. But like it was a fanfiction. And it has a movie, it has books, it has a TV show, so it has everything.
What's the name of the movie?
Mortal Instruments.
Mortal Instrument. Okay.
Yeah, my mom hates it.
No.
She loves the books and she hates the movie. I don't think it's very good, but I think it's better than Percy Jackson, for example. Like the movie-wise. But like, yeah, fanfiction has been gaining some traction because it has always been looked down upon. And I think like this is a very important topic. Like as we are kind of getting to the end, I think it's very important. Yeah. I think it's very important that we get to talk a little bit about this. So fanfiction has always been looked down upon. I've been reading fanfiction since I was 9 years old. And it has always been like a shame, you know? This is, I think, the first time that I really talk about like outside of a few friends and my partner. I think this is the first time that I really talk like, oh, I read fanfiction, I write fanfiction, I love fanfiction. And not only is it looked down upon because like, oh, it's a silly kid thing.
It's not the official story, not canon.
Not even about that. It's just like, it was humiliating to read and write fanfiction because it was silly. It was like cringe, you know? And spoiler alert, it's not a kid's thing. If we take, for example, AO3, which is our own, the site I mentioned before, most people, like 66%, were 19 to 34 years old.
19 to 34?
19 to 34.
Adults.
So it's adults. Most people who read and write are adults. And there was this misconception like 10 years ago, and it persisted, that cis-het women were the most common audience. It's not. It's LGBTQ people, like asexual people, transgender people, non-binary people, because fanfiction is a safe space. We have to understand that the world is really cruel with these people and really excludent, and books and stories in general about them are just being written right now. Until like 15 years ago, it wasn't common. You go in a library and you go to the section like LGBT. It didn't exist.
Hence the importance of internet and sharing the things.
And then like fanfiction is around for like over, I'd say 30 years. Fanfiction is around for almost 30 years. And in different formats and different websites. But it was an open space and a safe space for queer people to explore and to be seen, because they didn't exist in media before, or very, very little, you know? And then fanfiction opened up like these spaces for them to exist and for them to be, for them to express themselves, for them to see themselves. So I think it, like the audience being mostly, yes, female and queer and non-binary and transgenders, it ties a lot with how unsafe outside of the internet is for them in real life. And to me, the fact that fanfiction is just right now becoming like more popular and more accepted, it has to do with the fact that it's viewed as a women's hobby, a girl's hobby. Because people that are like crazy about fanfiction, they're crazy, they're insane, they are like fanatics. But if you pick like, oh, boys playing cards of whatever game, or like a sport or whatever, no, that's normal. That's normal.
No, crazy stuff as well.
Girls like being fans and having like pictures of K-pop idols or other idols, insanity. Boys being crazy over sports and athletes, that's completely fine. So I think fanfiction falls into this category of like, oh, it's a women's hobby, so therefore it's ridiculous and it can be acceptable. So I think it's just now being demystified, and people are realizing that fanfiction is good, and sometimes fanfiction is better than the original. You know, so I think it's too much about that and less about like, oh, the quality is bad, and then you take the example of like Faustão and Selena Gomez, you know, that classic fanfiction. Like most are not like that. Of course we have like very average and very simple, but we have masterpieces.
Yeah, but it's just a little genre in a way, and at the end we just want to be inspired by good stories. You know, regardless of the source, if it's a famous author or somebody that is anonymous. Sometimes I guess a lot of people they use like an alias, right?
Yeah.
But at the end, what drives us is you want to read a good story and feel those carousel of emotions or be inspired, and like you said, if you can see yourself or identify to a character, or sometimes you are in a bad spot in your life and this story helps you to get through it. It's amazing. Okay, fuck, we're running out of time already. Damn, we need to have another episode just to explore some fantasy.
Just yapping about
okay, final message to everyone watching us, Alanis.
Try and read some fanfiction of the stuff you like.
Oh, recommend some, please.
If you like Harry Potter and you can read in English, I really, really like the Innocent series by Marauders Lover 7, like I said. If you're into Dramoni or want to explore, there is this fanfiction called Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love. And if you like K-pop and you are into Stray Kids, there is this really, really beautiful fanfiction called Brighter Days, which is gut-wrenching and funny and beautiful, and you will probably cry if you're emotive. Okay?
Damn.
If you're emotional, be warned.
Okay.
That's it.
Nice. And you see it way more than like what is that Selena Gomez and Faustão.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much, Alanis.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
And guys, thanks for watching us. Have a beautiful holiday. Hope to see you next week on the same hour, on the same day. But one thing, this episode is going to be on Spotify tomorrow. You can listen to that as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.